Whether it's in Silicon Valley or the auto industry, we're absolutely fascinated by these visionary leaders, right? The ones who promise to completely change the world. But what happens when that gigantic vision runs headfirst into a very messy reality? Well, it's a story of incredible ambition, sure, but also massive risk and sometimes just spectacular failure. Let's dig into this pattern, what I'm calling the visionary's trap.
And believe me, the pressure is on. Right now, Tesla and Elon Musk are staring down a huge wave of competition. As one person on Reddit put it so bluntly, competitors like China's BYD are just surging. They're posting record sales, while Tesla is actually seeing its first yearly sales decline. This isn't just some small market shift. This is a massive challenge to the company that has basically defined the EV world for years.
And right at the center of all this pressure is one product that just captures the whole tension perfectly: the Cybertruck. I mean, this comment from Reddit, it kind of says it all. Is this thing a revolutionary leap into the future, or is it one leader's uncompromising dream that was just forced into existence no matter the practical flaws? And that single product, it raises a much, much bigger question.
Is what we're seeing at Tesla just a one-time thing, tied to one very unique personality? Or, and this is the big question for us today, could it be that we've seen this exact movie before? Are we just watching a timeless pattern of power, vision, and risk that kind of echoes through history?
To really understand what's happening, we've got to look beyond just the daily headlines. We need some kind of framework, something that reveals the pattern connecting all these stories.
And believe it or not, we find that framework in a pretty fascinating place. A 2023 academic analysis looking at the incredible rise and spectacular fall of Theranos. Yeah, the biotech firm. This research gives us the key to unlock the whole pattern, and it gives us a name for a very specific and very powerful style of leadership.
And that term is hegemonic totalism. Okay, so what on earth does that mean? Well, the slide breaks it down perfectly. It's basically a two-part formula. First, you got the hegemonic part, this huge, inspiring, world-changing mission that gets everybody excited. But then you have the totalism, a totally despotic, top-down control system that makes sure everybody falls in line, no questions asked. The noble vision is used to justify the iron fist.
So once you have this theory in your head, you can start to see a kind of playbook emerge. A set of moves that these visionary leaders seem to use again and again, whether they're in biotech, sports cars, or electric vehicles. Let's see how this playbook unfolds, starting with the very case that gave us the theory.
First up, Elizabeth Holmes. Her vision for Theranos? Undeniably noble. Change healthcare forever. The promise was basically magic, a full lab in a tiny box with a single drop of blood. But the tactics? The tactics used to chase that vision were completely despotic. A culture of fear, secrecy, and deception, all to hide the fact that the technology just didn't work. The result? A total collapse, ending in a long prison sentence.
Okay, now let's jump back a few decades to John DeLorean. The vision? An ethical, futuristic sports car. The promise? That iconic stainless steel gull-wing machine that everybody knows. But to make that radical vision a reality, he had to cut corners, which led to a car that, well, a lot of people now remember as an underpowered, overpriced hunk of junk. The incredible dream just couldn't survive the harsh reality of execution.
And that brings us right back to today. The vision is world-saving, sustainable energy for everyone. The promises are straight out of science fiction, an indestructible Cybertruck and cars that literally drive themselves. But the tactic, as critics and commentators describe it, is a megalomaniacal leadership style that just plows ahead, no matter the warnings. The result is this constant war between the unbelievable promises and a reality that is just full of problems.
And when you put them side by side, the parallels are, well, they're kind of stunning. One Reddit user drew this direct line between the two. Just look at this. Both were huge names, both pushed a radically different vehicle, both were accused of ignoring really clear hazard signs. And the criticism? The language people use to describe them is almost identical, separated only by a few decades.
So this is the crucial part. What happens when this playbook, this hegemonic totalism, collides with the unforgiving laws of physics and engineering and the market? The vision is one thing, but reality always gets a vote.
Let's just talk about the Cybertruck for a second. Since it launched, in less than 2 years, it's been the subject of 8 different recalls. 8. And we're not talking about, minor cosmetic fixes here. We're talking about fundamental, serious failures. Accelerator pedals that can get stuck down. Windshield wipers that just stop working in the rain. And as one analysis points out, exterior panels that can literally fly off the truck while you're driving down the highway. It's not just the hardware, either. Tesla's other grand promise, full self-driving, is now facing its 6th federal investigation. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has documented dozens of incidents where these cars in FSD mode have just plain violated traffic laws.
And the stakes here they're literally life and death. One really tragic crash highlighted in a Philstock World article happened when a Tesla on full self-driving completely failed to see a stopped vehicle. It killed a 71-year-old grandmother. And the reported reason for this fatal mistake? The system couldn't handle the glare from a bright sun.
So you add all these issues up, the recalls, the investigations, the public controversies, and they are having a very real impact on the bottom line. Just like we saw at the beginning, Tesla has now posted its first annual sales decline in years, and it's happening at the exact same moment that these really agile, aggressive competitors are hitting their stride.
But here's the thing. This kind of top-down visionary control, it doesn't operate in a vacuum. That academic paper on Theranos points out that there are always countervailing forces, things that push back against the leader's total control.
Because no matter how compelling the vision is, or how powerful the leader, this hegemonic totalism is never absolute. Reality has a way of breaking through. And the research actually identifies several of these cracks in the wall. You get internal resistance from employees and whistleblowers who finally expose the truth. You get external regulatory scrutiny, like all those federal investigations and recalls that enforce standards. And then, of course, you have the ultimate reality check, fierce market competition from rivals who are just building better, more reliable products.
In a really fascinating moment from a recent earnings call, Musk himself seemed to actually acknowledge these forces pushing back. He was arguing for more personal control over the company's AI and robotics future, and he voiced his frustration with shareholder advisory firms, the very groups that act as a check on his power, calling their recommendations asinine.
And this all leaves us with one final, really critical question. The pattern seems clear: a grand vision, a powerful leader, and a brutal collision with reality. So when that same leader asks for unprecedented control to build an even grander vision, like a robot army, while the company's current products are literally being recalled for falling apart, who is supposed to say stop? Who is responsible for drawing the line between visionary genius and a very dangerous trap?